Okay, everybody, I'm going to start helping you out on your design development just a little bit and really kind of go through setting up the sheets a little bit, kind of getting a game plan going, everything that we're going to have. So I'm going to try to follow, how do we do a title sheet, how do we do a floor plan, all the above. And so I've kind of started with the start file. I've used this on a couple other ones, so we may have to make some manipulation in here. But I think it's a good place for everybody to start so you can see how it kind of works together. All right, so as the design development, I kind of switch it between semester and semester, so it depends on when you watch this. Could be a fire station, could be a pro shop, could be an office complex. Those are kind of three kind of rotate around. But this video is kind of to apply for any of those three scenarios that we're kind of designing around, and trying to keep the square footages so we can keep them all in the same thing. All right, so the first thing that we're going to look at is let's look at our sheets. And so I want to go ahead and I want to be sure we set up our sheets here. So I have a first floor plan. The first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to edit the text here of this title block here. All right, and we're going to be sure that says, we'll say design development here. All right, it looks a little tight there, and then let me drag that out, and I'll be sure this says, drag it down low, homework number 6. Load into project and close. Do you want to change? No, I do not. Okay. Bottom one, override existing parameters. Name, I'm going to put the name. Put your name there. And then the issue date, put whatever date that we're going to be issued, sometime in March here. All right, and then clean it out that way. All right, so we have an overview here that's going to be set. So we're going to work on sheets. I'm going to do new sheets. So for this project, we should have 5 sheets, and the first one's a title sheet. I'll hit new sheet. I'm going to be sure that I use my MSU title block here. It comes in at C1, which is C2, which is the next one. If I just right-click and hit rename, I'll say T 1.1, and that is a title sheet. All right, so I'm going to set up all of my sheets here, new sheet, and OK. I will hit rename. This is going to be A 1.1. That is floor plans. I'm actually going to delete this here, so I'm going to delete the A. So I have A1, A or T 1.1. I'll hit new sheet. Okay. Rename A 2.1 elevations. New sheet, a rename here. On this title sheet, I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to rename this here. I think it's going to make it easier if we just put this as A 0.1, okay? So let's leave A 0.1. It sets them all in order, and as you go to print, it'll make it fine. So if your grading sheet says T, that's fine, but as long as it's in order, because I think when we print, this will print it all in one order, and it'll make it a little bit easier. If you keep it at title, that's fine. You're just going to have to be sure you reorganize it in Bluebeam, but not a lot of you have Bluebeam, so. Okay, we should have 5 sheets: title sheet, floor plan, elevation, sections, and then the last one, reflected ceiling plan. So we got that set. Okay, now let's do a little bit of just sheet organization here. And so most of the things that, or most of the plans that we kind of look at are roughly around 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the floor plan here, and I'm just going to create a rectangle. You could have, I'm going to go to 2 options here. So I'll do architectural. I'll let you pick the wall type that you want. I'm going to use EIFS over metal stud for this one here. That's what I'm going to use. Be sure I'm in my fine view level, and I can see. And I want something that's around 6,000 to 5,000 square feet. So I'm just going to draw a random box here. Okay, and I'm going to tag it. Annotate, type by category. Oops, sorry, architecture. Room tag. Room, I got to find my room. Here we go. And I want to be sure that that is with my area. So I'm around 3,000 square feet. So I need something a little bit bigger. And we're cooking. All right, so I have something set there. Now I have a room that I could work around. Now you could have this room be vertical sides like this, you know, up and so forth. If you want, depends on how the view, how you want to design yours. You know, I'm going to suggest what I did is try to do type of a rectangle here. And one of the reasons why I want to do the rectangle look is the way it stacks up on plans. We want to be sure that this fits on the set of prints here. All right, the other thing I want to look at here are different items here. So we have our elevations. Since we're going to be responsible for elevations on this, we want to be sure we get those kind of drug in here and set. Those are going to reference, and we'll work on elevations later, but I'll kind of get these the way they, looking reasonable. So I have a nice first floor plan here. I'm going to go ahead and drag this over into my floor plan set. And hopefully I have a reasonable size that is being set here. Okay, very key to this. We're going to manipulate these as well later. Big key here on your homework. Okay, it's listed as detail 1 is basement floor plan, and the other detail 2, or depending on what you have. So this one says first floor plan and detail 1. So I'm actually going to change this here, detail number 2. All right, the one I'm going to work on is I'm going to put a basement in here. So it's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so detail 2 says first floor plan. So I need to be sure that's rename this here in first floor plan. Okay. Yes, I want to stay the corresponding views. All right, so this one, like I said, I'm going to do a basement on it. So but depending on which one you have, you may have a second floor plan that's kind of set there. This kind of still gives you the same idea of what's going on. Come to think of it, now that I'm thinking about it just a little bit as we're going through here, and the way elevations and everything's going to set up, it might be easier to actually keep this first floor plan, rename it. I'm going to rename this the basement floor plan. Sorry about this. You'll see where I'm going with it here in a minute. I don't want anybody to get confused. I'll say yes. Change this to 1. Okay, and then now we have our basement on the bottom. And I think it's going to work well for a variety of different functions later down the road. So I'm sorry you had to kind of go through that again. Just new assignment setting up here. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is this project, we want to get into levels, and levels has to do with basements and first floor, second floor, so on and so on and so on. All right, and so the best way to do this is I'm going to click here, and you want to get a section cut. So I'm going to, cut a section. I'll see it here. I'll go to my section. All right, now we have a section view, and we're starting to see how these different levels show out. I'm going to move this guy over here a little bit. Roof. That way we can see what's going on. Bottom of footing. For this one here, we're not dealing. I want to go ahead and I'm going to delete these bottom of footings and top of footings. So I am going to, hopefully I can delete this here. It'll say, do you want to delete everything that goes with it? Absolutely. What it's doing is it's deleting my floor plans over here. I'll delete this as well. Sometimes it's nice just to start fresh. We have a roof plan. I have my basement floor plan here, which is set. I'm going to drag that over. And sometimes you can work that text a little bit. Get that over here. And everything's set there. It's good. And I can bring this back and clear it up a little bit. So we may want to keep our sections here as we're going through. So what's going on is I have a roof plan here that was 12. I can move this up here, right? And so I can do a couple things. I could create a new roof level and move it way up here, and that's fine. I could create a new level that's there, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this roof level and I'm going to highlight it. Oops. I'm going to highlight the roof. I'm going to call that first floor. First floor plan. So it's going to happen. My roof here over on my project browser should change as well. Yes, I want to rename corresponding floors. And anyway, I can kind of play around with how that works there. So now I have my first floor plan, and that's set up, and it's 14 feet. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to set a 15 feet height. I'm going to keep it pretty simple for this one. And then notice that none of my walls go up to that 15 feet. So I got 0, 0, then I have 15 feet. That's where my first floor plan is. That's going to be set. So, but be careful depending on which one you're looking at, the fire station or the office. This should say first floor. That should say second floor. So be sure which one that you're watching with. All right, so what I want to do is be sure that these walls come up. So now this is kind of where Revit starts taking into account, different options. The other thing that I'm going to do here, I'll put 15. 15 feet is actually quite a bit high. Maybe just for simplicity standpoint, we're checked out at 14 here. That'll probably be an easy way to do it. And I'll go back to it. I'm going to skip to 15. I'll do 15, 15, keep it simple. We're just learning the basics part here. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I have a foundation plan here. I can clean this up just a little bit. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete my roof item here. I'm going to delete my site plan as well. And I'm going to click on the first floor plan. And notice that my first floor plan, because of the way the view ranges work, I don't see anything going on. And that's okay, because one thing that we need to do is the way levels works is we need to be sure that we can kind of set some of this up. If I go to that section view, you notice I don't have anything that's up here. So I can extend my walls or I can do something else. All right, so next thing I want to do is I'm going to create another level. So I will call it the parapet height. And so this would be the parapet, or not the parapet, I'm going to call it kind of the eave height. And so if you really think about a house, or the more the structure we're looking at, is since we're doing a pitched roof or something, we want to set kind of an eave height, and that's where our kind of roof comes down and it lands on it. And so I'm going to set that eave height, and that's kind of going to be our next one. I'm going to set that at 15. So to do that, I have a level option up here under architecture and level. I'll hit level. All right, I can take that up. You know, maybe I go 15 feet, and we'll set that level here. All right, so what Revit does is it creates another level over here as your view, level 2. I will set that as a parapet, or as eave height. Eave height, that's set. Yeah, I'd like to change it. So now I have basement. I can see my walls, eave height, and I don't see anything, and my first floor plan. All right, so I want to look at, just for fun, this wall here. So I have this south wall that's set. All right, looks fine. The way Revit works is there's all sorts of ways to get this wall to extend up. And so some walls will go all the way up that you'll have, and that's fine. And so what you could do is you have base constraint, which is your basement floor plan. And then now I could set my top constraint. Right now it's unconnected, and it's only going up 14 feet, which is fine. But I'm going to set my top constraint at my eave height here. All right? And so what that does is if I go back to my section view, now that wall extends all the way up to that eave height. And what's nice about that is if I change my eave height, which I might do before the end of this thing, it's connected to that eave height. So as I'm changing or as I'm moving, it's always nice to set the walls up a little bit basic to hit those different views. You know, I could do another wall in here, and I'll probably do one just to show you. And that way you can see that I want to maybe take my wall all the way up. It'd be just a little bit short of the deck, and that's kind of set. Well, I'm going to go back here. I'm going to keep that at 30/30. So this is an engineer's dream to run ductwork with the floor-to-floor heights. And so you can see this wall here, right? That's an exterior one. It's unconnected right now. I could go to eave height that way. And then I got one more over here that I could connect. I'm going to take that up to the eave height. My 3D view. Okay. Looking pretty simple here. Don't know why those views are being out here. But I have one more. 3D view is always a good one just to double check. I can bring that up to the eave height. So now I have everything here that's kind of floating, right? Now, since I went back to my first floor plan here, you can see that now my walls are extending all the way up. Okay? I don't know why those aren't coming in at fine view realistic. That's fine. I kind of like the dark shaded. You can really see what's going on. Okay, so now we have kind of our model set and everything. So that's kind of first step one as levels work. And I think if you set up your levels that way. And so what I can do now is I have my first floor plan. I have my basement set. I can go in and see that wall showing up there, but for some reason I don't know why that's not showing up correct, but that's okay. All right, first floor plan. What I'll do is I'll drag this down into my floor plans here. And then now I can set it up above it. And we have that set. These should be kind of centered. Sound good. And again, no idea why this one isn't showing up correct. I'm going to have to play around with that one to be sure, see what's going on. But maybe another time, maybe take a bit. All right, so we have our floor plans that are set here that we're working on. The next thing we can look at are, again, detail 2, first floor plan, detail 1, basement plan. The other thing that we have is schedules. We haven't really talked much about schedules in this class yet. Okay, so we're just kind of make a pre-made schedule. So over here we have a room schedule, and you can see the schedules are set. You have a room number, room name. They should match up. We have the floor finish, base finish, wall finish, gyp and stuff like this. So I want you to put this on the sheet. It's just pretty simple to put on the sheet. We can get rid of the comment section here. I'm going to get rid of the comments here. I'm going to edit and then comments. I'll put that back over here. I'll hit OK. Now we have our room schedule. So I'll also put the room schedule on the floor plan. Be sure you set it up high enough here, because as you add rooms and different items like that, you can put that in there. And I'm wondering if we could edit fields and add an area field. That would be handy. All right, so now we have some areas here, so we could list our room, write it out. Now we can check some square footages. So do add the area end on this here so we can view that. It's going to be pretty helpful. Okay, so we got the room schedule placed. We have all these elevations going. We got a little bit of issues here. I'm going to go ahead and click in this view, and I want to go ahead and fix my elevation view. I want to get this squared away. That way everything looks good and the text will flow good. All right, so all right, everything's flowing that way. Now the next thing we need to look at is elevations. And so if we go to elevations, that's kind of your next setup here. So we have north elevation, south elevation, and so on and so on. So I have a particular order, the north and the south and the east and the west. And so we have all these elevations here. I think the best one is, let's go ahead and rename these. I'm going to rename these. That's east elevation, and we're going to assume, let's go with one thing we haven't checked here, and it's always important, is we're going to assume this is the north. So the top is the north, the bottom is the south. So this is going to be your south side. I'll rename. Okay, so the easiest way to put this on here is we want to put them in order. The way Revit works, when I drag one over, it assigns 1 to it. The next view that comes in is 2, the next view 3, and so on and so on. And so if we look at a grading sheet, the first detail 1 is north elevation. So I will drag my north elevation into the elevation sheet. I'll be sure to place it under here. And one thing that you'll know, the eave height is kind of coming over. I'm going to play with those when we get those all set. All right. And part of your assignment is you want to be sure that these things are, I'm going to make this small here and be sure that this is centered underneath. Okay. What we want to avoid is stuff like this. A lot of students will put in and they'll drag this thing all the way over and it's set. So it doesn't even graphically look very well. And so we want to be sure that that's correct and that sits over to that side. So north elevation. Next one, south elevation. So I will drag that down. South elevation. Oops. Then we go east elevation. Should be smaller. And last, west elevation. All right, now we can take some time and get these set here. Again, nothing wrong with being particular. End of the day, that's what you're, as a designer, you're putting out there. Something that contractors are going to be easy to read, easy to find stuff. And hopefully we should be able to get these to stack. And that'll work just great. If you can't, you can put it over here to this side. Be fine. Should be able to stack. What we have an issue with is our section view here. Drag that section view down. Because we want to show that section, and it's working. All right, I do think we can get these stacked. Well, good. Good. All right, we want to kind of play around with these items here. I'm not the best at dragging these over and getting them to set. Drag this over here. So we want to be sure we clean up these items here as well. And some of this, I'm kind of doing it right now. You know, as I'm thinking about this just a little bit, I think what you're going to have to do is line your sheets up this way. Like this. Because once you get a pitched roof in there, it's going to be hard to see that. And so you're going to need more room to show your pitched roof that's coming up. Okay, we have eave height set over here. They flip between the two elevations. So now I just need to clean up this one. Actually, I should have brought that over first. There we go. And it sets up your other side. So balance this out with your roof. Hopefully it should fit on there. Okay. All right, so now we have elevation set up. And again, not using the word detail. Everything is just detail 1 means the one under this one. So we have everything set. We go back to the floor plans. You're going to see that all these are referenced over like we did on the last project. Sections, we can look at sections now. So we need a north-south section and an east-west section. So if I go to my floor plan, to me we have an east-west section here. Now we just need a north-south section that's put in place like so. The other thing you want to pay attention to a little bit is the view of this elevation here. So that is my north elevation. I'm sorry, north. Okay, notice where that section goes. Now I'm actually doing a section view because I pulled that back. And so on my item here in my floor plan, I want to be sure when I click this section that it's all the way back here. All right. And there's a certain depth that this comes with. So if you're finding that you can't view the elevation and you're in the section view, it has to do with this line is not lined up correctly. All right. So now I have a section view on my elevations. That should have came in as well, which it did. All right. And so I can go up to my sections here. And so I'm going to be sure that I click on my floor plan. I will click here, and this is my east-west section here. So I'm cutting it, through the east-west side here, and this would be a north-south section. So let's just say I click on this one. Here's my section. Rename. I'm going to rename that east-west section. My other section here, rename north south section. So let's put that in. The first one is detail 1 north-south section. So we're going to put this in our section view. Pretty small. You'll have more stuff that comes into that. The other thing that this has around it right now is a crop region. I'm going to pull this crop region out a little bit more. And then I'm going to hide that crop region over here. So now it's gone. So we want to be sure to add text. Be sure you label your ceiling, your flooring, you know, kind of like what we did before using the text function. Okay, I'm going to roll over here to be sure I get this squared away. Should have a roof going as well. Here's my east-west section. Sometimes we should be able to, those are showing up there. It is okay if your title views, I don't want to get too detailed in the title views. If these aren't showing up or if they are showing up, that's okay. It has to do with a little bit where those are set on. But you should be fine on your elevation views. So we have the same thing here. I'm going to extend this crop view out a little bit because if it's not extended out far enough, then it won't pick up your text and it kind of causes an issue. So once I get it out, I can unhide my crop view region, and now I'm set. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, and one thing you're seeing in the background here is if I go back to my, I'm going to be sure this gets lowered down and correct. Doesn't get really high. Actually, you may want to keep it high a little bit right now, just for the simple fact, depending on how your roof line comes in. All right. The other thing I want to be sure that we do is one enlarged wall section. So we can do an enlarged wall section here. View, do a call out. If you haven't saved the project, save the project. And I'll do my call out here. Go to my east-west call out. I'm going to call this it's a detail 1. I'm going to rename this wall section. Probably won't do realistic view. Do it. There we go. So now we can add that text as we need to our wall section. It should be at a 1/4 inch scale. I can add that wall section to my section views over here. And I want everybody to be sure they label some text with that. Kind of like we did on the previous, and I can get rid of my annotation and crop view and really clean that up. And you also should have, you know, a little roof that's coming up here that you can annotate and look at. So we have these sections set up here. Everything now reflected ceiling plan. One thing I want to do is I always like to match the floor plan setup. And the best way to match, there's a couple ways to match it, but the best way to match it is using a detail line. So I'm going to hit DL. Probably best if we just do modify, or it's annotate detail line. So I usually will set one here, and you'll see kind of what I'm doing. Set something over here really close to that. So what I want to do is I want to line up my items that I have set. I'm going to highlight the first one. I'm hitting Control, holding down Control to select all my lines. I'll right click. I'm sorry. I think I just hit, no, let me say right click. Okay, I'm just going to hit copy, and then I'll go to my reflected ceiling floor plan, modify. Oh, it did not let me do that. Give me just a second here. It's not letting me copy that over. I can't remember the reason why for that. Probably in the wrong view is probably my thing. All right, we'll skip that, and I'll just try to get as close as we can. So we have our ceiling plan, ceiling floor plan, right? And so we want to be sure we name that. That is a, let's call it the basement. Rename. I will call it the basement reflected ceiling plan. And for this one, say no, you do not want to rename the corresponding views. No. Now I need to create a ceiling plan for the first floor. That's, you go to View, Plan Views, Reflected Ceiling, and it should give you an option for that first floor. Rename. Again, I do not want to name the corresponding views. That's no. What it's going to do, if I said yes, it's going to rename these up here, and I want to keep that the same. So now I'll put my basement reflected ceiling plan in, and I will put the first floor reflected ceiling plan. And again, what I was trying to do is match up these floor plans that way they're set. I'll give it one more shot. Oh, I know what the issue is. I need to be sure I click copy to clipboard here. So I'm going to copy to clipboard there. And then I'll go to this part and I will paste the line. And I want to be sure that that sheet matches up with that item. Okay, this is a little long here. We will tweak that just a hair. Okay, I will let you guys spend your time kind of setting up these items here next. Be sure they match on top of one another. Okay, that's set. So we have all our sheets. All we have is a title sheet left. The title sheet that we want to put in there, be sure you put your 3D view. Okay, so we have our 3D view set up. I'm okay if you come in here and I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to hit SA, and I'm actually going to hide the views. Hide view. Hide view, I'll say category. Maybe do a realistic view. Pick a nice 3D view side of whatever you create to put in here. All right, part of the next thing is we want to look at, I want to do some code study on this one, like I said before. And then what else we need? Project name and city location. What I would do is hit my text. I'm going to do annotate, and I'll collect my text. And I might want to pick something a little. I'll just try aerial here to start. And I'm not going to do any of these. I'll do this justification. I'll say project name, ABC country. I'll just say any club house, Springfield, Mo. To me, this is a little bit low for what a title sheet should be. So I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to change it to, let's say, Nelson. Custom 1. And get that size up. Maybe it's quarter right now. I might be a 1 1/4. See what that does. Yeah. So now we got a nice bold. I may want to delete this side here. No, I don't. There we go. Then over here we can work on the code study. So text, probably using the Arial is fine. We can highlight what we're going to do. Code study. And I think I said building codes. Okay, I'll let you go through and figure out all the other code study. So now we have a nice title sheet set up. We have our floor plans that are set. Get rid of this line here. Room schedules flowing, elevations looking good. Sections, probably need to look at elevations here. Be sure we get realistic view, whatever we have. Depending on what type of, if you want to change colors, I think that would look kind of nice if you want to work on playing around with those items. So we'll get just a nice set put up here, especially once you get windows in here. It's pretty raw right now. All right, next thing I want to look at here a little bit is we've gone through and we've set up our sheets, but I want to see kind of how levels work out a little bit. And so one thing in this bottom room here, I'm going to put in a mechanical electrical room. That's set. So I will hit my wall. I will do an interior wall. Um, 4 7/8 inch here. And so let's look at the way these heights work. So we got basement. We can go offset and we can do unconnected. I could bring this all the way up to the bottom side of that floor level if I wanted to. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to bring it up to 14 feet, okay? And so I'll draw a room here, get it set. And then maybe on this side here, I will draw a kind of a stairwell. Maybe we're going to have like a stairwell that's set here on this side. And it should use my last one, which is unconnected. The stairwell might be something like a shaft that I want to be sure gets all the way up to the eave height. All right? So I want to be sure that goes actually all the way up to the eave height. That's set. So let me look at my 3D view. You can see I have a wall down here. This is going all the way up. I click through my first floor plan. My stairs are working good. And what I mean in my stairs is I might put a door here. See what's going on there. Let's fix that. Okay, when I go to my first floor plan view here, I want to be sure my view range is set up right. You have your sections. I would use some new sections here. Trying to find where that door is set at. First floor is correct. Well, that's good. First floor there. Should have everything set. No. Opening is showing. There's my doors. Are added in that view. My stairwell going down. Let me be sure my view range is working here. Good. Still height. Come out of my door there. And I'll give myself another door over here. So there's our mechanical rooms kind of set up. And section view. Showing our stairwell. That's a stairwell over there. And I don't like where that sets. All right. So now let's go to the first floor. And what you might want to do as you're going through this is you might want to stack or know what's going on underneath. And there's a way that you can do this. So the one thing I kind of wanted to show you as you're working on stacking stuff, we don't have as much to do with this one, but there's a way that we can look at kind of what looks underneath this. So I can do range-based level. I can do basement floor plan. And notice that I can see what's going on underneath here. So if you start getting to somewhere where, you know, it's okay that it doesn't have to stack up. Maybe part of your first floor or basement is over here, and then it kind of stacks up and you're using half of it over here. That's okay too, but you can see what's going on underneath, especially if you wanted to stack something. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're playing around with this a little bit. That's a nice function to have. Be sure though when you turn it in that this says none. That way we're not seeing two different setups there. Okay. All right. The other thing I wanted to play around. There's two other things I wanted to do, and they'll kind of close this off. So the next thing I wanted to look at is these elevation views here. All right. And so they look okay, but there's modifications that you can make to these elevations. So we have interior, the other one elevations. I want to find what the property is of this family is. And the way Revit works, and I may have explained this or not, besides all these other ones, when you get down here to the families, here's all the families that are listed in by some we're familiar with as furniture, right? So whenever you load something into Revit, it goes into this families category. And within this families category, you can kind of fix or manipulate or work around with it just a little bit. So I'm going to hit annotations. I'm going to go to elevations and see if I can't find. What I'm trying to find here are the building elevations here. Trying to find that specific one. Okay, had to pause it real fast and kind of check, double check how to manipulate these, but I found it. Over there in the family part, you're going to want to find the elevation mark body square, and then you can right click on the detail number here, say type properties. You can do a preview. Now you can kind of manipulate, you know, something a little bit different. Here's like a filled arrow. There was one here I thought was kind of nice. That was the one we just had. Oops. Give me just a second. What the detail number reads. There's a little reference. I had a neat curved one here. Filled arrow's fine. Hit OK. And then I'm wondering if we do detail view real rename type properties here. There's one that I thought was kind of neat. Has like a bend to it. Oops, forgot to hit apply. Type properties. Oh, there we go. Apply. There we go. Hit OK. Must be on the other one here. Then we have to do that too. There we go. So now we kind of have a nicer elevation mark, and you can go through and you can edit those. All right, last thing we want to look at is part of your requirement is this to me is a pretty small detail reference, okay? And so we want to kind of make a new one. This one's hard to manipulate in here, so the only way you can really do it is if you hit File and then New and Family. So now if we ever want to create a new family, we can do so. So I'm going to click Annotations, and then I'm going to do View Title. And so View Title opens up here. So whenever I want to create any type of new family, that's how you go through and create it. And so I'm going to create this new annotation here. It gives me a little bit of direction. It says New Title System Line Terminates Intersection Reference Plane, dummy line shown for location of title view. Delete this note and dummy line before using. Okay, so I have to create a label. So I'm going to hit a label here, and I'm going to build one label. I want it to be centered, so I'm going to put that here. And I want it to show what the detail number is going to be. So here's my detail number. I'm going to put that over here to the side, and I'm going to make it a little bit larger. I'm actually going to make it, let's see, I will hit Edit Type. I'm going to duplicate that text, and I'm going to call it, let's say 1/3 inch. And I want to be sure that's at 1/3 inch. You can pick whatever, oops, text size 1 divided by 3. That's interesting. Right, one more time. We could pick whatever color you want. I'm just going to stick with Arial. I'll hit OK. Make it a little bigger. Here's my view title that I can stretch. I'll delete that when it's all said and done. But now I want to create whatever my title view is and then create my scale underneath. And you can do all sorts of varieties of how this thing looks. So I'll hit Create, Label. It's okay. I'll just click here. I'll be sure that I click my view name. Don't have my view name. I'm going to set it over here. I'm going to be sure my text is left justified. I'll have it string out here as long as I can. In case I have like the reflected ceiling plan, edit, duplicate. I'm going to make this 1/4. Again, be sure the stretch is down far enough. That way you don't run into issues. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete the dummy line. Now I just want to put my scale underneath. So I go to Create, Label, underneath. And there should be a view scale. Sure that's moved over here. Left. Get those to line up. I'm going to create a little hexagon item here. Okay, now I have that set. I will save this file, save as, family. I'm going to put it on the desktop. I'm going to put Nelson title. Yes, I want to replace it. I'll load in the project and close. Okay. So once I go to my view, it actually doesn't show up yet. I need to be sure that I click on this view, and I'll hit edit type. And now I should be able to change that to the Nelson title, or whatever title you make. Now you have a nice larger custom detail for your project, and they should all change with it. And hopefully I had that stretched long enough. My reflected ceiling plan now works. Yes, it does. So, all right. So that's kind of hopefully that helps you get started on probably what I would do after I have all this kind of set up and I know what's going. I would put a detail line, probably like a just demolish line, and I get a box here. And know that, okay, well, sheets are kind of set up. Here's my basic parameter of square footages that I need to be able to meet my project scope in there. And so I would probably, after this point, go ahead and delete all of my stuff and get to redrawn, get to modifying, and then circle back around and be sure all your sheets are flowing up correctly. Okay, once it's all said and done, and then delete these lines once you're set as well. Okay. All right, good luck. Hopefully that helps you get started on your project. So, thank you.